everyone, I'm Stephanie. I'm the On Point Stitcher, and today I have a new start, and so I thought I would start it with you. I've gone ahead and gotten together all of my needed colors and fabric, and everything is hopefully set up. So I'll go ahead and show you the new project that I'm working on, and while I'm pulling that up, I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about the project, what I am working on. So the fabric you see in front of you is 28 count Monaco. I'll be working on this project 1/1 full cross. I actually almost did this project 2/1 tint, but decided after looking at the mock-up that it would be better if I did this one 1/1 full, because she has one stitch for her eye and I thought it might look a little off if it was a tent stitch. So I am doing a full cross on this one, and so the project is going to be Charting Creations Christmas Fairy Magic. This is the project, and I've had this in my stash for about a year, already kitted up, and I just haven't gotten to it. So I decided, even though I did not want any new starts this year, that it would be a good idea to go ahead and get this one started, since I already had all the things that I needed for it. So I'm just putting my tablet in the tablet stand, and I'm trying to actually decide how much I'm going to be talking, because as you know, I do like to use floss bags, and so I have my whole thing of floss bags. And the only downside to floss bags is that they do make some noise while you are getting your nice color. So let's give this a shot and we'll see how it goes. And if it's just too annoying, you can let me know. We'll do something. Maybe I'll just do non-talking stitch alongs, because I have found that I actually really enjoy watching no talking stitch alongs while I am doing something that I need to be working on and can't be distracted by sound or music. I will just turn on stitching and mute it and just have it there to glance at while I'm doing something else, which I know sounds really silly, but I find it really relaxing. Okay, so the first color that I'm starting with is going to be 3847, and I do have a little mark here for where I'm starting, and just going to get my needle threaded. I'm using a size 26 needle for this particular project, mainly because that's what I had on hand. So I just grabbed that one. So the first color is going in. I always get so nervous on the first stitch. Okay. All right, so I am going to start, and I can already tell this needle is a little too fat, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and start with this. I'm starting kind of like you would, a little bit like a royal rose, where I'm putting a waist thread a ways away, and I'll just stitch over that a couple of times, or not. Let's try that again. I usually can grab it, but that's okay. I think I'm just a little nervous. So I've been wanting to do some Stitch With Me videos for a while now, because I really enjoy watching them, but also because I feel like sometimes that's the best way that you get to know someone, is just hanging out with them while they stitch. So the mark that I used on where I wanted to get started is with a Soology. It's from Hobby Lobby, but it has two sides to it. The purple side is disappearing ink, and the blue side is a wash away. And I just used the purple because I just wanted one quick little spot, and it does disappear. I've tried it on Monaco before, and the Monaco that I'm using is the Charles Craft, and it's just the one that you can get in the tube from Hobby Lobby, or actually it doesn't, I don't know if it is at Hobby Lobby, but I got this one from Michael's. I have a Michael's not too far away from me. Okay, so let's do a little counting here. I'm not sure if you guys can hear all that noise. The rest of my family is watching a movie downstairs. So if that is the case, I might have to make this a silent video, but I guess we'll see. Okay, so I've got started here, and something that I like to do is just pull the thread to the back so that it doesn't get in my way or distracts me, and I just grab it with the needle and pull, and it just goes back down. I'm going to try to work on this without turning the project over, because the Monaco is it's kind of like an Ada, where it's a little starchy, I guess, and so it is still rolled in the tube. Well, it's not in the tube, but it's still rolled like it would be in the tube, like on the bottom. And so I just have a long roll going over to the right hand side. Oops, I did not cross that over. And so I can't really turn it over without hitting everything. So I'm going to try to do everything from the front, and hopefully that'll help save some time as well. I've been doing pin stitches to end a thread when I need to lately. I didn't used to do that, but I have been doing that lately. And it's starting to rain. We don't get a whole lot of rain where I live in Colorado. So when it does rain, we enjoy it. Last year, though, was really interesting. We had a very rainy summer, and it was a nice thing and a bad thing. It was a nice thing because I actually didn't have to go out and water the flowers very much, because we got rain like almost every day. And so my garden did really, really well, and I really didn't have to do anything to it last year. So that was really nice, but the downside was that the kids really didn't get to spend any time in the pool. And so the pool just kind of sat last year, not doing anything. Now, we don't have like a really nice pool or, anything like that. It's not like it's a in-ground or anything like that. It's just an above ground dealio that you can just get in and cool off and walk around in circles. Not really big enough to do much swimming in, but it's really nice on a 100-degree day when you just want to cool off. And a lot of people in Colorado, or at least in Colorado Springs, don't have air conditioning, and so it's really nice to be able to cool off in the pool at the end of the day. And this is actually the first house that we have ever lived in that we do have air conditioning. My husband and I have been married for 17 years today, you guys. Today is our anniversary. And we, our entire lives, lived in housing situations that we did not have air conditioning until we moved into this house 3 years ago. And we just feel so spoiled during the summers now. But what we used to do is you would open up the windows in the morning and turn on fans and pull as much cold air in as you could. And then the second that the sun really started coming up, around 8 or 9, depending on the day, you would close everything up again, close all the doors, all the windows, all the blinds, everything, close everything up and hide from the sun. And then as soon as it would start cooling down in the evenings again, everything got opened up again. And you pull in that air all day long. And it was really the only way you could get through the summer. So it's kind of nice having air conditioning at this point in our lives. Like I said, we just feel so spoiled. I've been busy the last couple of days doing laundry. We went camping for the 4th of July, and we just went for one day, and it was really nice. We went in an area we've never been before, and it was actually on some private land. There's a couple in our church that we've only met a couple of times, but they have 630 acres of private land up in the mountains. And they heard from our pastor that we were going to go camping, but we hadn't picked a spot. And they said, well, we have a spot that they can use. And we were kind of blown away, just, are you sure? We don't want to impose. It's a holiday weekend, and, we don't want to use your land. And they said, oh, no, we have a spot that we use for camping and things like that all the time. And so we went up and followed along this road. It probably went on this little back road for at least a mile, if not more, and just followed them up. And they had their dog with them, and she just trotted alongside their car all the way up. And so followed them up, got to the campsite, and just could not believe it. It was up on this beautiful hill and overlooked the city just a little bit, not a lot. And it was just surrounded by, it's so hard to describe, just surrounded by these huge rocks and hills, and it really just felt secluded and beautiful. And so we set up our camping spot there, and it was just beautiful. The dog had so much fun. He was running around on the rocks, checking everything out. But in answer to your question, yes, we do camp in a tent. I've been camping since I was a young girl. I was in the Girl Scouts. And so I've camped in lots of different situations, but when we go camping, we just put up a tent and just have a good old time. But it was really nice. We they had this area that was completely surrounded by these really large rocks. So it's an old how do you say that? Quarry? Yeah, there you go. It's an old quarry. And so there's, all these large rocks, but he had gotten up there and got an excavator and put these rocks in a big circle so that so that you could build like a fire and it can't escape. And so we had this really nice place for a fire pit, and then there was an area for that was like really nice for putting up the tent. And then my kids and my husband decided that they had wanted to sleep in their hammocks that night. So there was one tree. So they took their hammocks and put up their hammocks with one side on the tree and the other side was connected to the car. Like we have a rooftop thing on the top of our car. And so they just tied it off on that side and they all slept in their hammocks. And they had a great time sleeping away in their hammocks, just hanging out. I unfortunately don't sleep well in a hammock. Sounds like it's starting to hail, which is typical for Colorado. Anyway, yeah, I don't sleep well in a hammock. I have an extra bone in my back, and so I have a very interesting curvature, and so hanging in a hammock is not my cup of tea. So I had the tent all to myself along with the dog, and I had a twin size air mattress that I was sleeping on. But the weather was perfect. I honestly have not camped in better weather ever in my life. It wasn't hot, it wasn't cold, it wasn't windy, there was no rain, it wasn't super sunny. It was just perfect weather. We had a really nice time. So the evening that we got there, we set up camp and got the fire started, and we just did hot dogs for dinner. And then while everyone was eating, I made campfire cobbler, which is super easy and super yummy. It is just some canned fruit and then a cake mix and some butter on top. And just put that in a Dutch oven when the fire has just turned to basically just red coals, and just wait for it to cook and get warm. And it is just so yummy. It's so delicious. But what's funny is that my youngest daughter and we had just gone on basically an exclusion diet at the beginning of that week. And so we were like, well, all that work went for nothing. But, we're going to get back into it tomorrow. So we're not too worried about it. But it was just funny that we chose to go camping and eat camp food on the same time frame that we decided to try to start getting healthy. It didn't really help us much. We should have waited one more week, but I didn't know that we were going camping. I was kind of in the back of my mind that, oh, well, that would be really nice to go camping for the 4th of July. And I didn't think that we'd be able to because my husband needed to work. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, hey, what do you think about camping? He said, let me change some things around, see if it's okay, and see if I can just go ahead and make that work. And he was able to make it work, and we were only able to go the one night, but it was fine. It was really nice. So we hung out around the campfire after dinner and having some dessert, and we just talked and had a grand old time. We saw a few fireworks, but really not that many from where we were. There was just a very small area that we could see the city, and so we only caught a few fireworks, but I don't think they were doing very big fireworks shows this year. They said something about maybe even canceling them this year because of the fire risk. I guess it was really dry for this weekend, and they were afraid of starting a fire. And so I don't think as many large fireworks shows happened, but it was still really fun. We got to see a few of the big ones, and we just really enjoyed spending time together as a family. But the funny thing is that, so I told you I had the air mattress for myself to sleep on, and I couldn't find like the pump. So I was like, it's not that big of a deal. I will just bring like the bicycle tire pump. And I didn't realize how much effort that would be to do that. Hang on, let me count this to make sure I've got this right. Okay. So I was like, it'll be fine. It won't be that hard. As long as I have someone helping me, it'll go quickly and we'll get it done. And I'll be able to go to bed at a decent hour. Well, we started pumping it up before we started cooking dinner. And my husband was working on the fire, getting it going so that the girls could actually, make some hot dogs to eat. Well, we got about halfway through, and our arms were just dying. And I was like, it's not that big of a deal. I put the section in that we can just walk away and come back. And it's supposed to, like, you put it in a certain way, and it's supposed to hold the air while you're pumping it up and until you're actually done. And then the big section to close off it's supposed to be fine. It's just supposed to be like secondary, basically. Yeah, that didn't happen. My daughter went to go change her clothes when she was, getting ready for bed, so she went to the tent, and she comes back out and she's like, well, all the work that we did was for nothing. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, the mattress is completely flat. And I was like, no, you've got to be kidding me. She's like, no, like there's no air in it at all. It's like we never even touched it. So I thought maybe, just maybe, she was being a little dramatic. Not so much. She was right. I went in and looked, and sure enough, there was no air in that mattress. And so we were just, at that point, we were getting tired. And I was so like just bound and determined to get that mattress full of air so that we could go to bed, or so I could go to bed. Because I don't sleep well in the car either. And that was my only other choice, was to just sleep in the car overnight. And that did not catch. Let's try that again. So I was like, no, we can do it. I was like, and our muscles are already pretty much nothing but jelly, so they're already tired. Maybe we can just work past the exhaustion and get through it a little bit faster. And that actually was the case. Like, it helped that our muscles were already tired, and so we were just busting through it a little bit faster. But still, it takes a lot of time to fill up an air mattress with a bike pump. And so a good like 20 minutes later, after my husband and my older daughter were putting away the food and getting everything like cleaned up for the night, he comes and he looks in and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And I was like, "We're trying to get it filled up. It's not working very well. We're getting tired. You want to take a shot at it?" He's like, "Not really." But of course, him being the sweet, kind husband that he is anyway, he unzips the side of the tent and gets in. And he's like, "Well, part of your problem is that you guys are trying to fill it up with a bike pump, and it's not the right thing to fill up a air mattress." And I said, I know, but it's all that I had before we left the house. And he said, "Okay, well, let me give a shot at it." So he took a turn with the bike pump, and like, I don't know, after maybe 2 or 3 minutes of him trying to get it, he goes, "This is just silly." He goes, "I think at this point the best thing to do is just to get my lungs going and just try to fill it up that way." And I just looked at him and was like, "But isn't that so much more work?" And he goes, "I don't know." He's like, "My lungs are definitely a higher capacity than the bicycle pump." And I couldn't not agree with him. I was like, "Well, you're right. That's true." So he was like, "Let me give it a shot." So I said, "Okay, well, I will switch places with you while you're working on that." He started giving it a shot, blowing it up, and he was getting some air into it. It was definitely a lot better than our bicycle pump idea. But at one point he said, "Okay, I'm really getting dizzy. I have to take a break." But when he came back to it, it only took like 5 more goes at it, and he had it at like the perfect air mattress consistency, where it wasn't completely full, but it wasn't like flat either. Just perfect, where you don't feel like you're sleeping on a brick, and you don't feel like you're like gonna fall into the earth. It was really perfect. But I was just very, very grateful that he was willing to blow that up for me. So I got to sleep on my air mattress, and it was such a nice night. It was perfect. I did have to use a blanket underneath of me because air mattresses get cold, and I did have to wear like flannel pajamas, and I had a nice, really warm blanket on. But other than that, like, I didn't have to wear a hat or anything extra. I didn't have to wear gloves or, crazy warm socks, anything like that. I was just very, very comfortable. It was a good night. But it was kind of funny when I went to go to bed. I took the dog in the tent with me because I wanted to make sure that he was safe during the night. There are mountain lions up there, you guys. And so the best thing to do is, have the dog either sleep in the tent with people at night, or to put them in the car overnight. And so I was like, no, he can sleep with me. Well, when I went to go to bed, I wasn't quite ready to go to sleep. So I was like, well, I think I'll read for a little bit. Well, he was tired. He had spent the entire evening running around, smelling everything, looking at everything, climbing rocks, and just being a dog, just everywhere. So he wanted to go to sleep. He really did. And I guess I was bothering him with the light on, because at one point he lifted his head, looked at me, looked at my flashlight, and sighed, more of like humphed at me, like, you know what I mean. Just, that, well, kind of a sigh, and turned his back to me and went to sleep. And he was sleeping so hard, he was actually like snoring a little bit, but I was definitely bothering him. So that is kind of why my hands are a mess, though, is from camping. Like, I've washed them so many times, but they're definitely still a mess from camping. But we had a wonderful time. In the morning, my husband got up and started the fire and started breakfast. And then the girls got up and they hung out for a little while. And I was still trying to sleep a little bit more. So I was trying to sleep, and we made, for breakfast, he made like everything all kind of together. So we had hash browns, basically just, very thin sliced potatoes, but he had hash browns and sausage and bacon and eggs, and he just made like a big scramble out of everything. And then my older daughter made blueberry pancakes, and we had tea and juice, and we talked for a little while and hung out. And then I decided that it was a beautiful morning and I wanted to go for a bit of a walk, and everyone else wanted to just kind of hang out and chill. So my daughters went in, they got in their hammocks, and they decided just hang out for a little bit. So they sat there talking and laughing, and my husband actually went and laid down in the tent and took a nap. And I need to count again. Hang on, let's see. Okay, I think that's, so I've got, that would be 9 from here. So, okay. I'm going to recount that. Okay, perfect. So he took a nap. The girls chilled out in their hammocks together, and I went for a little bit of a walk. and it was really pretty. The dog came along with me. And when everyone woke up from their naps and things like that, we packed it up for the day and headed back down the mountainside and back home. And what was really crazy is that it was actually only about a half an hour from our house. I guess that'll do. I don't really like that. I like it to go over some. Yeah, so it was only like about a half hour from our house. And what's really incredible about Colorado Springs is that those areas up there, they look so far away, but they're really not that far from the city. There we go. But we got back home and I started cleaning up all the things, and my husband had to go back to work. And the girls were tired. Apparently they didn't get a whole lot of sleep that night, but we really did have a good time. And then yesterday, we had a house guest all day. So my younger daughter, has a friend from school that they have been friends for about 2 years now. Yeah, it's been 2 years. And they moved to Kyrgyzstan. And my daughter and her friend, they've been keeping up with each other. They've remained friends, which is really impressive because it's like a 9-hour difference. And so every now and then, one of them would, whoops, that fell through. Every now and then, one of them would change around their schedule a little bit to accommodate for a phone call or a video call, something like that. And then they would keep up with each other through email, let each other know what they were up to, how things are going, how school is, all those kinds of things. And so when her family came for a visit this summer, it was like they hadn't even skipped a beat, still best of friends. So they spent the day yesterday giggling and laughing and just talking. And they had to visit all of the animals. We have several rabbits. We have 4 rabbits and a dog. And now a fish. I put a fish in my office for some company while I'm working, some quiet company while I'm working. But anyway, so she met all the animals and held them, and they talked to them all the things, and they shared stories, and they got in the pool for a couple of hours and just had a grand old time. And we had dinner, and it's so funny because when her mom dropped her off, I said, well, how long can she stay? How long is okay for her to have her play date? And her mom was like, well, just whenever is fine. And so I was like, okay. So it was getting kind of later in the afternoon, and we invited her to stay for dinner if she wanted to, and she said that sounded great. So we went to make her dinner, and I told my husband that I would start the grill. Well, the grill was being extremely difficult to get started. Oh, by the way, I'm already at 100 stitches. I was going to mention it when I got to 100, but I'm at 101 without the light green that I just put in. Anyway, so I was having a really hard time getting the charcoal to start. The charcoal that I had put in the charcoal chimney, I guess had gotten wet or was old or something, but I couldn't get it to start. I was out there for like half an hour trying to get it to start, and I tried everything, and finally I was like, okay, I'm done with this. So I scrapped that charcoal and started over and had it going. But we didn't even get stuff on the grill until like 7:30 at night, and so we didn't eat until 8 o'clock is when we finally sat down. So we didn't get her back home until pretty late, but even then the girls were roasting marshmallows, and I was like, okay, this is the last one because we need to get going soon. And they were like, okay, just one more. I was like, all right, no big deal, that's fine, go ahead and do one more. So they're cooking up, and I have never seen anyone cook marshmallows so slowly in my life. They were really like just milking it, trying to soak up every second that they could just to hang out and see each other. It was really, really cute. But by 9:30, I was like, okay, I'm tired. It's been a long day. I had spent the day like doing laundry from camping and cleaning the yard and cleaning the house, cleaning dishes and the house in general, and then also cleaning the pool. I had vacuumed it, and I cut grass and just done like all of the things, and so I was tired. So I was like, okay, girls, seriously, I am tired. That's it. We can pick this up another day. So they were like, "Aw," but they packed it up, and I went and dropped her off. But they just had such a good time. It's just incredible the friendships that you can have even when someone is that far away. It's really amazing to see those kind of friendships. And we've known her for a little while. And the last time I had seen her, I think, was last summer. So it was nice to catch up with them. Because of course, when I dropped her off, you know how parents always do that thing. We always start talking. As soon as it's time to say goodbye, the kids just stare at you. Okay, you're talking. Yeah, so we talked for a little bit and caught up. We got home a little bit late. It was like 10:30, something like that. And I was tired. So I was like, I'm done with this day. I'm going to bed. And I didn't feel bad about it at all. Like, I'm just tired and I'm done. I have to go to bed. Okay, so I am checking to make sure that I am in the right place with this last stitch. So what I like to do is take my thread and sometimes just follow it straight up along. And it's being difficult because my frame is in the way. But it looks like it's in the right place. Follow the line. 2, 3. Yep, that's correct. And let's make sure this one is correct because these ones go off of this one. So this one goes up to that one, and should have, let me see how many stitches it should have in between. 12. So let's see. Here. Perfect. Okay. Now we can go ahead and finish this one off. I could go further with it, but I don't want to get too far away and make a mistake. I am not that good at counting. I know some people can go really far away, but I don't even have gridded fabric, so I'm not going to trust my counting that much. I actually had thought about waiting to start this project until I got some gridded fabric, but I was like, I've already got a piece of fabric that fits the size, so I should just use what I have. Okay, up to 124 stitches. I want to at least get this 10 by 10 completed while I'm hanging out with you today. Hey everyone, Editing Stephanie here. This is starting to get into a long video because I want so badly to get that 10 by 10 completed while I am hanging out with you. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video from here and remove the rest of the sound, and I will see you at the end. Bye! there we go. So the first 358 stitches are done. And the first 10 by 10 is here to here, right there. There's the first 10 by 10. Everything else is just icing. And there you have it. The finished area that I started on this project. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know it was a long video. I've never done one this long. And we'll see from here what we do for Stitch With Me videos. I'd like to do 1 or 2 a month. And so this month I'll probably try to stick to this project. This is going to be my Sunday Fairy Sal project for this month, since I'm doing Christmas in July. So I'll see you next time. Thanks again for joining me, and let me know if you prefer the speaking or non-speaking, because I'll probably have a mixture of both. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you next time. Bye.